Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Sri Lankan President Dissanayake held delegation-level talks in Colombo. The Prime Minister is on a 3-day visit to the island nation. The meeting marks a key moment in Prime Minister Modi's ongoing 3-day visit to the island nation. Both leaders aim to strengthen bilateral ties under the shared vision of fostering partnerships for a shared future. After the talks between the Prime Minister of India and the President of Sri Lanka, 2 documents facilitating India's assistance to Sri Lanka on debt restructuring and currency swap are likely to be made public. The 2 sides are also expected to seal separate pact on cooperation in the digital domain. Earlier, the Indian Prime Minister received a Guard of Honor at the Independence Square in Colombo. He was accompanied by the Sri Lankan President. India's External Affairs Minister S. Jaishankar and National Security Advisor Ajit Doval also accompanied the Prime Minister on the visit. Prime Minister Modi last visited the country in 2019, 3 years ago, when the island nation was reeling under a massive economic crisis. India extended financial assistance worth $4.5 billion. In Colombo, the Prime Minister is scheduled to lay a wreath at the Indian Peacekeeping Force Memorial. The Prime Minister landed in Colombo on Friday, and upon his arrival, he was received by 5 Sri Lankan ministers at the airport despite the rains. In a post on X, the Prime Minister expressed his gratitude for the grand welcome. The visit follows Prime Minister Modi's participation at the BIMSTEC summit in Thailand. After his arrival, the Prime Minister was welcomed by members of the Indian diaspora in Colombo. He is the first global leader to be hosted by the Sri Lankan President. After he took office in September last year, President Dissanayake visited New Delhi in December last year, marking his first state visit abroad. Let's talk to our correspondent in Sri Lanka. Dissanayake Thoda is now joining us live from Colombo. Dissanayake, good to see you again. As we await the communique from the leaders' bilateral meeting and focus, like you said earlier, will be on defense and energy. Apart from that, talk to us about the importance of the debt restructuring initiative and the currency swap for Sri Lanka.
Absolutely, Erica. The topics of debt restructuring and currency swaps are crucial for Sri Lanka, given the fact that I think you and the world over are no strangers to what happened in Sri Lanka just a mere few years ago with regard to Sri Lanka's worsening economic crisis. Sri Lanka has since recovered and is on a path of steady recovery, which is why these measures of debt restructuring as well as a currency swap is crucial at this time, especially given that this would be President Disanayake's first time getting a hands-on experience with regards to a currency swap and even debt restructuring with India following talks with IMF, which was also concluded recently. So the way in which Sri Lanka's economy will be moving forward after these discussions will be quite crucial, not only for those here in Colombo, but across Sri Lanka at large. And also to add, like you rightfully pointed out, the bilateral discussions between India and Sri Lanka just got underway mere moments ago, which means that a multitude of areas will be discussed, not just the economy, but when it comes to technology, defense, energy, and even railways will be discussed throughout these discussions that have just commenced. So we are just mere hours away from getting confirmation as to what these signed MOUs are and how it will bolster the partnership between the 2 countries.
All right, as Dissanayake Thoda is speaking to us, what you see on your screen, these are live visuals from Colombo, and we see the Prime Minister of India and the President of Sri Lanka just there. These are the signing of the deals or signing of the agreements between both nations, and we'll be getting a communique or communication from the Ministry of External Affairs or the Prime Minister of India directly on what has been signed between both nations or between both leaders. Dissanayake Thoda, why are these deals important for Sri Lanka or for the island nation at this hour?
That India has come forward to help Sri Lanka and aid and assist Sri Lanka during Sri Lanka's time of need. While Sri Lanka has now moved past that initial turmoil and that chaos, Sri Lanka is still pretty much on a road to recovery, which is why countries and allies such as India play such a huge role in maintaining Sri Lanka's economy and stability, which is why I stress that these MOUs will clearly carve out the way in which Sri Lanka's economy and general well-being of the country will steer towards, given the fact that Sri Lanka has such close ties with India and views India as a highly regarded ally.
Like I mentioned to our viewers, this is live visuals coming in from Colombo, and we do understand that in a few moments from now, the deal or the deals that have been signed between both nations with the Prime Minister of India having a state visit to Sri Lanka. That is the Prime Minister of India, Narendra Modi, alongside the Sri Lankan President, Dissanayake. And what you see on your screen are the signing or the exchange of MOUs or deals being signed between both nations, which are crucial for the island nation, which is on the verge of recovery. Dasunia Thauda, this is a hallmark for the new president of the island nation, Dissanayake. He visited Delhi just last month, and now we see the Indian Prime Minister extending that olive branch back to Sri Lanka. Tell us more about the president of Sri Lanka, your president, and why this is crucial for him, not just for the island nation, but for him.
Absolutely. This is a historic and landmark visit for him particularly because he was given the mandate of the people last year purely on the backs of voters who are hopeful that he will be steering Sri Lanka out of the turmoil it currently endured at that time, and that he was quite confident Sri Lanka will emerge as a debt-free country towards the end of his term, which is why that this particular meeting is quite historic given the fact that President Dissanayake, this is his first term as president, mind you. He's someone who has never been in a position of power other than being an opposition leader. So this is a first time for him as well, and a first time meeting an Indian leader here in Sri Lanka and getting into these very serious and important agreements is sure to leave a mark on his political mileage as well. So this is absolutely crucial for President Dissanayake.
Dasuni, as you also talk to us about the deals being signed, we are talking about the digital domain in Sri Lanka. How is it? Explain to our viewers how and why this important deal is going to change the digital domain or the digital infrastructure of the island nation.
The digital infrastructure has been a hot term that has been used for nearly 5 to 6 years here in Sri Lanka with various governments. There have been certain projects over the past few years that the government has harped on, but none of them were quite successful. So, like I said, we will have to wait for a few more moments to see what the official word is, what these projects are on, and then we can see how President Dissanayake, whether he tries to take a different route in digitizing Sri Lanka with the partnership of India, or whether he will stick to the age-old projects and methods that Sri Lankans are well used to hearing.
All right. If you're just joining us, this is live in Colombo, where we do expect a communication from the Indian ministry or the Sri Lankan ministry as pertains to the deals being signed between both nations. That is, the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi is on a state visit to the island nation of Sri Lanka. And Dasuni Thauda is our correspondent in Colombo. Dasuni, thank you. For all the latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.